Mike's still here for the sideline showdown with converted offensive lineman Newton Benson. Newton, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing real well, thanks, man. Thanks for your time today. Really appreciate this. I want to go back to the start of your personal roots in the sport. When did you first start playing football? How old were you? And what fostered your love for the game?
I started playing football in grade 8, grade 7, because I moved there when I was 13 years old. How I found out about football is actually I have a friend who went to the same middle school as me. I don't know if you know him, Jake Richardson.
Yep, oh yeah.
Yeah, he went to the same middle school as me, and he played on the Mustangs at the time, and he just saw me. I was just like a big kid, and he's like, you should come out and sign up and try football. And after that, I started buying all the Maddens, and then I just loved football after that.
That's awesome, man. It's always nice to get, sort of somebody else that first instills that passion for you, but then you keep going with it and, realize your love. Talk to me about where you grew up and, just sort of your family background and your roots in terms of your history culturally.
Yeah, so my family original, we're all from Nigeria, so I personally grew up there 13 years. My sister, I think she was there for 7. My older brother was there 17 years, so we're all pretty much like new to this country. We're 6 years in Canada. So, football is kind of like brand new to my family. So like they don't really understand like what's going on, but like, they're excited for me. So like, I just appreciate the support.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that, of course. I mean, like growing up in Nigeria, what was that like for you? And did you have much, like, first of all, what was the reason for you guys moving to Canada in the first place?
Honestly, in Nigeria, we had like a good life. Like everything was like, fine. But I guess my mom and my dad wanted more for us, especially with education, because the degrees in Canada are like more like, they take you further in like life in like countries like America and Canada than the degrees from Nigeria. Because my dad got all his degrees from Nigeria. He worked so hard to like get majors, and then he came out here and like they didn't accept any single one of them, and he had to go back to school. So I'm thinking that's the reason why they brought us here, just for the education.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you want to have the best life possible for your kids, which is understandable. So obviously, like you mentioned already, they weren't super familiar with the sport of football, of course. Did your parents approve of you playing? Obviously it's like high contact sports. Did you have any athletic background prior to football? And what were your parents' thoughts about you taking up football?
Honestly, my dad and my mom were both like good soccer players. My dad was actually played on the U17 national team for Nigeria for soccer. So like we're athletic that way, but once I told them about football and they saw the hitting and the helmets and shoulder pads and all that stuff, they were skeptical about it at first, but once we commit to something in our family, like we just keep on going. So like once I signed up for it and everything, like they weren't going to let me stop, so they're okay with that.
That's awesome. So again, moved to Canada about 13. So how old you were? 13, you said?
Yeah, I was 13.
13 years old. Moved to Canada. Did you have any adjustments to make in a new country at first, or was it a pretty easy transition for you?
Well, we came in December, so
so the weather.
It was like cold and like I was seeing snow. I only saw snow on TV before, and then I just come out here and then there's just snow everywhere and my hands are freezing, and it was a big adjustment the first like couple months, but after like I got to school and like made friends and started like playing football and made like all these connections, and it just became like a home to me.
Now, what did you enjoy most about your time playing in high school? BC Kelowna, I believe, was where you were playing. What did you take from that time?
Playing in Kelowna, I liked how, or in BC in general, I liked how it was American rules, and also liked the atmosphere in playing in BC. Like, you get a lot of people out there, and just the coaching too. I got coached by a really good coach. He went to the Sun after my senior year. So just playing in BC in general was just like the weather, like the views, just it's different from playing club. Like I would say, because I came from playing Mustangs and played KSS right after that.
Yeah, was there a big adjustment to make at first, going from Mustangs to from community to the high school game?
Yeah, like the talent level was obviously a level up because when I play Mustangs, I'm just a bigger guy and everyone is just smaller. But then you go to high school and then you have guys like pretty much your size and they like know what they're doing. They're like all 100% committed to the game. So like you're going against somebody who is trying to either make it to the next level like you are or just trying to like do the best they can.
For those that are unaware, the coach you were talking about before with Okanagan, Ben McCauley, the name of that particular coach, great guy.
Yeah.
Very, very easy to deal with and stand-on guy for sure. I want to take it back a minute. You mentioned Jake Richardson and some history there with him. How far along do you guys go back? And do you still talk to each other, or what's your relationship like?
Yeah, Jake's is one of my boys. Like we go all the way back to grade 7, and we were friends up until high school, grade 9. I was actually going to move to St. Paul's because I went to Glenlawn at first, and I was going to move to St. Paul's. But then my dad got a job in BC. We kind of lost touch, but every time I see him or every time like I'm out and he's out there, like we're always showing love. Like that's my boy, and I remember playing on the Rifles for like a week this season. And Jake saw me there, and you know he was just like happy to see me, and I'm always happy to see him. My mom always asks about him. Like we have a good relationship.
That's awesome. Jake he's a smaller guy at defensive back, but boy, he hits hard. He's a very, very hard hitting player. So that's actually an interesting position you were in then. So you were here in Winnipeg for a little bit, and then you moved to BC, now you're back again.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool sort of like come full circle for you a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, like I always felt like Winnipeg was a home to me. So when I went on all my visits, I always thought that, you know, like this is kind of home. Like at the end of the day, like if someone's gonna convince me to go to their school, like U of M has like probably like 100% more chance to convince me to come back here because I just have all this childhood friends and I have all these connections and I have family over here, so it's a home for me. So I'm never gonna like think about, like I'd rather just stay in Winnipeg.
Once you got used to the weather, of course.
Exactly, yeah.
So just a timeline again. So how long were you here for before you went to your I guess dad got a job? Was he here for work at first and then went to BC?
Yeah, he was there for work. I think I was there from grade 7 to up until the start of grade 10. And then I moved to BC and did my final 2 years there. And then we kind of moved everywhere because then my dad got another job in Victoria, and then we all moved to Victoria, and then I moved back here, obviously. So we've just been moving all around.
Yeah, long journey for you, obviously, back and forth. What high school did you go to when you were in Winnipeg?
I went to Glenlawn.
Oh, Glenlawn. Okay,
Yeah.
yes, right down in the same battalion. Yeah,
Exactly,
that makes
yeah.
sense. Interesting. Good stuff, man. So yeah, you come here, you commit to the Bisons. Obviously, makes sense based on the fact that you already had a bit of history here in the city, of course. And originally, you were recruited to play in the defensive line.
Yeah.
What did you learn at first, being on that side of the ball of your first couple of seasons? Because you were a highly touted recruit coming out a few years ago, of course.
Yeah, so at first what I learned was I had to lose a whole bunch of weight because I came here overweight. Also, I learned that you have to get in your playbook, you have to follow what Coach Pierre says by law, and as far as you're in your gap, you're gonna make a play if the ball comes to you. So everybody doing their job is making a play. So it's not all about you as far as you don't go out your way to make a play. You just trust that your teammate's gonna be right beside you, making the play for you.
Absolutely. In terms of your weight loss journey itself, like how much did you have to shed to get to a point where you felt like you were going to be able to survive through training camp and things like that?
Well, I came in at 370, and by the end of it, I was 315. So going into my second year as a defensive tackle, I felt a lot lighter. I could move more. It just felt great being at 315 rather than 370.
So when did the discussion start between you and coach about moving and shifting to offense? Because now you are a starting left tackle for us. The first season that you've been on the offensive line, that's very impressive. I believe it was spring camp of 2019 where you were first moved. But how did you feel about making that switch at first?
At first, I wasn't really down for it because it was like, I don't really like offensive linemen my whole life because I was on D-line. But you know what? After getting in there, Coach Dobie talked to me about it first, and I was like, if it helps the team, like I'm ready to do whatever to help the team, because we had a whole bunch of offensive linemen who went down or who were leaving. So whatever it was to help the team.
Do what you got to do.
Exactly. Like the transition at first, it was started from the old coach, Coach KB. He didn't want like his starters going into second team, so he always picked out like different defensive linemen to come play O-line for him. And Coach Dobie saw me getting my stats to get out of it, and he was like, maybe we should try you out there for good.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny how it ended up being it sounds like almost an unintentional move where Kelly Butler had you, going and taking those reps, and then now you're in that spot. What aspects of offensive line have you found most challenging to get used to, and how do you feel you've developed over the first 4 weeks so far?
Definitely what I think the hardest to do is just like learning the different type of techniques you use on different kind of plays. As an offensive lineman, it's not all about just knowing how to do one thing. You know how to take different steps and how to counter different moves, and that's just the toughest thing I had to do. And was to learn how to get out of my stance quicker. And my adjustment to learning how to do all those things better is just getting in the film room, listening to coaching, improving week by week. Every time we watch film, he tells me what I have to work on that week, and then I focus on working on that and getting better to improve next week.
How have you enjoyed having Ryan Carhut as your positional coach? Because, obviously, for people that are unaware, he's a Vanier Cup champion with his team, a captain, was an offensive lineman when he played for the Bisons. So he's a guy with a lot of experience at that spot. Yeah, how valuable has he been for your development?
Oh, I love Coach. I feel like he just believes in me, and he puts a lot of trust in me. And I think once you have like that trust with a coach like that, you want to put your heart out for him and do everything he tells you to do to the best level. The way he coaches the guys, I think he just makes us feel like we're part of a family. Very
nice. Now, over the first 4 weeks, has it gotten more natural for you? We talked about off air how Sask has a very strong D line. One of the conferences, well, obviously I would say we have the best D line, but one of the conference's better D lines, and you handled them quite well. Calgary is a tough D line as well, and you didn't look out of place either there. How have you felt about your personal performance so far?
I think I've done pretty decent for my first year playing D line since I just started in the spring, but there's always room for improvement. I'm always trying to work to become better, but yeah, I think I did pretty good, pretty decent, but I could always be better, yeah.
Now, in terms of when you played in high school, did you ever play offensive line when you were in high school, or was this literally the first time you had ever done that at any point in your career?
Oh no, I played left tackle in high school, but it's just much more different than right now, because when I played left tackle, it was pretty much just go out there and just little kids, just go out there and just push them out the way. And then it wasn't like I'm going out there against some like standout players that I have to go against every practice, like going against Brock, Derek, Larson, going against those guys every practice, has helped me like further my offensive line skills, because I'm going against the best in the conference every single day.
Yeah, that's a great point. When you're going up against Brock and all those guys, it really makes you a better player. Last one for you here. What's the relationship like that you share with your fellow Hoggies up front? This is an interesting group we have this season. A little young at the tackle spot, you and Tom King holding it down. And then the interior positions, we have some vets there, obviously 50 years. Ryan Wengelinski at center, Reed McMorris guard, and then Christian Krause and Randy Sanderson, also veterans there. And a lot of youth behind them, with some rookies that have played well and done what they needed to do also. But what's the dynamic? What's the relationship like amongst the Hoggies we have here?
I think we're a really tight group. Like Reed and Ryan, they just like to help everyone know how to get better and stay on top of their topics and like what to do. And also like we just like to have fun. Like we joke around a lot and we're always having fun on the field and off the field, and yeah, like we're a really close group.
Cool, man. Well, thank you for your time, Newton. Appreciate this, and all the best the rest of the year.
Okay, you too.